Roads University Open House and to this portion, which is the School of Education and Technology. I'm joined today by a number of core faculty at the School of Education and Technology, who I'll introduce in a little bit. We're thrilled to be here and to give you an overview of the programs that we offer, and of course are most willing to answer any questions that you may have. So Selena, unless I'm forgetting something, we can start the slides. The first thing that I would like to do on behalf of the School of Education and Technology and the university is to take a moment to acknowledge the traditional lands that the university has the distinct pleasure and privilege of resting upon. As a university, we acknowledge that the campus is located on the traditional lands of the Kosepsan and Luangan ancestors and families. And it is certainly with tremendous gratitude that we now learn and work here, where the past, present, and future of Indigenous and non-Indigenous students, faculty, and staff come together. So one of the things that you will probably, if you're attending more sessions than at the School of Education and Technology, that you may hear referenced is the Royal Roads Learning, Teaching, and Research model. This model is certainly not unique to our Education and Technology School, but it is something that as a school, we strive very hard to reflect in our program development and in our course delivery. And I think you would find that across the different programs and courses throughout the university. I'm not going to spend a great deal of time going over the model, but the link is there should you have a moment to review it, and I encourage you to do so. In a nutshell, you can think about our model as being three pillars: applied and authentic, caring and community-based, and transformational. And within each of those pillars, we've identified ways that we strive to reflect exactly those principles. So you will find in our courses, for example, that we strive to have an applied and authentic approach to the content and to the learning, ensuring that students have opportunity to experience what they're learning. So a lot of that will look like having the opportunity to apply your theory, what you're taking away from the literature, to your actual practice as you're learning it. In terms of caring and community-based, we also ensure that all of our programs and our courses are inclusive and diverse, both in their makeup and in their content. You'll find that all of your courses have some element of working in a team, an opportunity to share ideas, to learn from one another, and to grow your professional network. And with transformational, you'll also see a real priority placed on having reflective learning, ensuring that we have our thumb on the pulse of what's happening socially and certainly within the education sector, within the technology sector. And we are continuing to strive towards learning and demonstrating a more respectful and authentic understanding of Indigenous peoples and traditions. As a school, our vision is to inspire leaders in learning and innovation. And so what you see there is the result of some work we've been doing when we come together, and as educators, as staff, we look and reflect on what it is we've been doing. What are our students saying to us about their experience? What are our students telling us about what they would like, what their expectations are? And when we package all of that together, we have a word cloud that we created. So you can see there, just by the size of some of the font, things that continue to surface as priorities for us as a school. Collaboration, ensuring that we keep a focus on change. How can we help our students learn? How can we affect change within the education and technology sector? What does it mean to be open? How do we foster an inclusive and diverse, welcoming social community? So those are just a few of the things that we hold high. Each of the programs will be delved into a little further as you meet each of the program heads. But just to give you a snapshot, in our school, we have three core programs, if you will, and all are designated as a Master of Arts in different disciplines. So we have a Master's of Arts in Educational Leadership and Management, which is affectionately called MELM. We have a Master's of Arts in Higher Education Administration and Leadership, MHEAL, and we have a Master of Arts in Learning and Technology, known as MALLET. All three of the programs, as you'll come to learn, offer both course-based or a thesis-based completion option, and the program heads will talk a little bit more about what does that mean. Suffice to know at this point, when we talk about a thesis-based completion option, there is an application process to the thesis. So because a student is accepted into one of the programs does not necessarily mean that they're automatically selected for the thesis track. Again, a little bit more of that as we go through the programs. You can see here as well that each of the programs also have a number of certificates and diplomas underneath them. Each of the programs has a residency component, whether it's on campus or online, or a combination of both. Each, as I've mentioned, have the option to complete via courses or via thesis, and each are delivered blended or exclusively online in the case of our Masters of Arts and Technology online version. So before I hand it over to the program heads, I think some of the things that you will find consistent throughout the programs. We're very proud, both as a school and as a university, that we place great priority and value on our faculty who are scholar practitioners. So these are folks that not only have the academic credentials to work with you, but also have the experience. You'll be learning with and from seasoned educators, administrators, and leaders from the respective fields. And so they're able to give both that theoretical lens, but that practical piece as well. And we hear time and time again how very valuable that is for our students. It also enhances your professional network. The folks that you will be meeting as faculty are folks that are probably working somewhere in your sector. So you have an opportunity to develop a professional relationship there as well. You'll find that the courses each run consecutively back to back, and each course runs about 8 to 9 weeks with about 5 to 7 days between the courses. And this back-to-back flow is a bit unique because if you look at a more traditional semester system, what students are typically used to is a 12-week fall semester followed by a Christmas break, another 12 weeks, another break. Here at Royal Roads, all of our programs get you through that master's in a 2-year program. So there is a method to our madness, if you will. It's intense at times, but we do get you across that stage in the 2 years. You'll find that all of the courses have a combination of both individual assignments and team assignments in each course. And that goes back again to our learning, research, and teaching model, where we place such an emphasis on the development of team leadership, team membership, team skills. All courses will have a component of synchronous and asynchronous coursework. So you'll be learning live, everybody getting around their computer at a particular time, and day for a guest lecture or a course lecture, or you will also be learning via asynchronous, which means you're kind of learning at your own pace with course deadlines, of course, guiding that pace. You have the opportunity to certainly, as I've mentioned, apply what you're learning while you're learning it. And each of the courses will offer some sort of forum, whether it's online via your Moodle course shell, or if it's synchronous online, where you have the opportunity to reflect and to share exactly how it is you are applying what you're learning and what you're encountering. You have the opportunity, as I've mentioned, to develop professional networks and lifelong friendships. Of that, I can guarantee. And please know that throughout any journey, no matter which program you take, you have a very supportive school team with the Education and Technology School, faculty, associate faculty, and our staff that are there to guide, support, and cheer you on throughout your learning journey. So with all of that said, and again, some of it will be repeated throughout the program descriptions, I will hand it over to my colleague, Dr. Frederick Beauvais, who is the program head for the Masters of Arts in Educational Leadership and Management.
Good morning, everyone. So I have a few minutes to give you an overview of both the Masters of Arts in Education, Leadership, and Management and the Diploma. First of all, in terms of structure, they are both built into one and the other. So the Diploma represents the first year of the Masters. It's self-standing and take on its own. It can also act as a feeder towards the MELM program, the main Master's program. They are really structured in the same way. They share the first sort of 6 courses. I think we're going on to the next slide, Selena. A question I often get asked is, who is this for? As often students will have questions about which program is best suited for their needs. So the main focus of the MELM program is that really it caters to the needs of educators, classroom educators who are considering a leadership position. So in a way, they are changing their lens from being the lens of a pedagogue, the lens of a teacher and educator, towards the lens of a leadership in education, a leader in education. This represents the bulk of the students will be K-12 teachers who are getting to a point where they are seeking a supervisory role in their schools, but it's not limited to K-12 students. So we have a variety of students coming from different backgrounds who again fit that simple profile of being at the moment in a classroom or having experience as classroom teachers and seeking a job in education that is more focused on leadership. So if that fits your current trajectory in your career, then it's a program that probably would suit your needs. We'll go to the next slide, Selena. The next question, so this is a quick overview of the program. As I've said, the graduate diploma represents the first year of the master's, so it can be taken on its own or it can serve as a feeder into the master's. Some students will do the diploma, take a break, and then continue, reseek admission and continue with the rest of the master's. That is possible as well. 33 credits. Again, as Tamara has explained, there's a thesis option. If you are interested in applying to MELM and you are interested in a thesis, you don't need to make that decision at this stage. We really normally consider the thesis application in the 3rd course of the program. So that's the point where you would actually be placing your application, lodging your application, and we would consider it and give you some advice as to your eligibility for it. We also have the possibility for students to work towards an IBO certificate in advanced research. And this is something that's interesting because it represents no extra work. There's an agreement between the school and IBO, the IBO organization. That means that by completing your requirements for the MELM program, you are also completing your requirements for the IBO certificate in advanced research. The only requirement is that really all of the large assignments of the program are focused on an IBO context. So it does require that specific focus on that lens, but it doesn't require extra work. The diploma represents, as I've said, the same first 6 courses. I think we'll go on to the next slide, Selena. So another question that I often get from students is, what will I learn? And I think this quick graphic representation is important to understand the learning that you do in MELM. So as students arrive, there's a number of courses that focus on the reflective part. So 2 values you will see a lot in these programs are self-reflection and then the application of knowledge and concepts to the field and to practice. And those really are 2 of the main focus of the program. As learners arrive into the program, they are developing self-reflection on themselves as individuals, themselves as learners, because of course they join the programs and they are very much learners at that point. And of course themselves as educators, because they have that classroom experience and they are essentially pedagogues at the time of admission. As they progress through the program, they're adding another layer, another lens to their reflection, their self-reflection and their ability to apply concept. And that's the lens of leaders. So this is, in this way, represents a good representation of the progress of your growth, of your self-reflection, and your capacity to apply concepts and apply knowledge that you're gaining towards different perspective of your practice. Thanks, Elena. We'll go on to the next one. We wanted to give you a quick overview in the time that we have available at the sort of flavor, the sort of courses that you might be sort of taking. So I'll let you read the slides as there's a lot of text and you have all the description of the courses. The first 6 are the ones that are represent the diploma if you chose to take the diploma, and they represent the first year of the master program. After that, you have the distinction there between students who are continuing with the course-based sort of delivery of the master's, or students who go on to do the thesis. If you're taking a thesis, the advanced research course is a course where you are determining and designing your question. And then after that, you're continuing in a one-on-one relationship with your supervisor for the rest of the year. For the students who are taking courses for the second year of the master's, it is course-based, but you do also have the opportunity for a research component, since the last course, 610, is a 6-credit course, which is often called a capstone project. So you do engage with research on a smaller scale in a smaller program than the fully fledged thesis, but you still get an experience, hands-on experience at research as well. Thanks, Alina. I think we'll go to the next slide. I'm conscious of time. Just in quickly, the MEL program is teacher qualification service approved within BC. So this may be interesting for those of you who are working within BC schools. We'll go on to the next, Alina. And again, the IB certificate in leadership research is something that is open to you. You would not have to make a choice at the time of admissions. This is something that you can discuss during residency. What we call residency are those first 2 courses which you take in the first summer, and which involve you being on campus for two weeks. And during that residency, we give you more information about the IB program, how to register, and then you engage in a relationship with the IBO itself, where you register with them, indicate your desire to complete the certificates, and then at the end you go back to IBO, showing that you've completed the master's, and that's where you get the award of the certificate. So all information on this is provided during residency itself, and you can elect to register for this or not during the program once you actually admitted. I think that wraps my share, Selena. I think so.
Thank you very much, Frederick. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Russ Wild, who is the program head of the Masters of Arts in Higher Education Administration and Leadership. So over to you, Russ.
Thank you very much, Tamara. Okay, next slide, please, Selena. So I want to talk just a little bit about, a few too many. There we go. Perfect, thanks. The Michiel program is a program aimed at individuals who are in the early stages of careers, within earlier mid-stage career stage in higher education institutions or related fields. And next slide, please. I just want to tell you that I've been working in higher education for nearly 25 years. And when I was a young emerging leader within institutions, I wished that there was a master's program that I could participate in that would really help me to understand how higher education worked, how systems both within and surrounding higher education institutions worked. This is that program. As we look at the learning outcomes and the things that we learn together, these are the things that people need to know. If you're at that stage in a career within higher education, this is a place to get a fantastic grounding on the kind of systems thinking, the knowledge and background, and as Tamara talked about earlier, the relationships that will help you to grow your career. This is the program for you. Next slide, please. So this is Master of Arts program. It is 2 years, 33 credits, and there are 2 streams possible for completion, research or thesis. It is possible to do a diploma that is the first 18 credits in the program, and that can be standalone or it can ladder into completion of the full degree. There are also graduate certificates available that make use of specific courses within the program. If you have a specific interest in some area of the content that's covered, it is possible to do these standalone certificates. And we'll take a look at those. Next slide, please. So here's the big picture for Michiel. It is a blended program that has residency at the beginning and then online synchronous and asynchronous learning together. We'll look, what we see here is completion through the research paper, and everything is the same up through online learning term 3, but then the students, or sorry, online learning term 2, but then students who want to do the research paper take courses that get them ready for that and then complete the research paper. And then if we could look at the next slide. There is a thesis option that requires application to go into this stream because, as was mentioned earlier, there's a fairly tight sequence of courses, and it's important that a proper proposal be developed that can be completed in the right period of time. I want to also point out that there are 2 other streams within these project and thesis options. You'll see that in online term 2, there are 2 sets of courses possible, and that's for students to be able to decide whether they would like to focus purely on systems leadership in higher ed, or if they would like to take an international focus. There are different courses available that you can choose. And as I'm sure everyone knows, international education is a significant focus within almost every post-secondary. So we do offer an option for students who would like to focus in that area. Next slide. This is one of the graduate certificates in systems leadership in higher education. So it consists of just the 3 courses and fits in with the students taking these courses as part of the full Mahil program. Next slide. There is also a graduate certificate in business development in international education that takes advantage of those specific courses aimed at international education. So just those 3 courses taken can be a standalone graduate certificate. Next slide. And starting this year, we have a new graduate certificate in strategic enrollment management. It uses one of the courses from the full program, HEAL 550, Systems Thinking and Strategic Planning, but then adds 2 brand new courses in enrollment management and gives folks an opportunity who are very interested in this area, very important area within an institution, to focus on and develop a plan for strategic enrollment management.
Thank you very much, Russ. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Elizabeth Childs, who is the program head for our Masters of Arts in Learning and Technology.
Good morning, everybody. And for those listening to the recording, hello. Welcome. Thanks for taking the time to learn about the programs in the School of Education and Technology. I'm going to speak a little bit about the suite that's under the banner of Learning and Technology, and you'll see the 4 on the slide deck there that I'll touch on quickly. The Learning and Technology programs are slightly different than the other 2 that you've seen in the school in the sense that they are cross-sectoral. So people coming to these programs are people that are working in an area involved in learning and also working with the affordances of technology and really trying to figure out, as we all are now, how to use the affordances of the technology to really deepen and facilitate, create engaging learning environments. So Selena, if we could have the next slide, please. Thank you. Across these learning and technology programs, the master's, the diploma, a diploma in technology enabled learning, and the certificate in instructional design, there are cross-cutting themes, and they're listed here. And so you can really see that movement away from a very sector-based program to themes that go across a variety of sectors. We have people in the programs that are in finance, that are in healthcare, that are in K-12 or higher ed. We have folks that are independent consultants, training and development officers in the military. We have folks in a variety of environments, which really allows for that cross-pollination of ideas that makes it so rich. Selena, could we have the next slide, please? Thank you. I had to put this slide in here because, of course, all of you are now connecting in this way. And this is the way many of us are working in these times. But even pre-pandemic, the focus on the integration of learning and technology and being able to really be that translator between those two settings was brought about because of the increased complexity, the rapid change, and that focus on continuous learning. What we're seeing, of course, is that increased demand for people who can understand how learning and technology relate and can support and extend the learning experiences. Whether it's staff, whether it's trainees, whether it's in more of a formal education environment. Thanks, Selena. The next slide. So this is the program goal of the Master's and the Diploma in Learning and Technology. And as Frederick mentioned earlier, the diplomas are those stepping stones in. So they're the first 6 courses of the Master's, and the same would apply here. And then you can either choose to go on and apply to do the Master's, or you may stop out at the Diploma in Learning and Technology. And the focus here is really on being able to collaborate, contribute to these networks and communities in the field. But in the second part, highlighted in purple, is that critical piece. Critically analyze virtual learning innovations and assess their impact on organizations and society. So Selena, if we could skip to the next slide, please and thank you. This outlines the flow of the program, and it's a top-down. I know everyone has had a little different orientation, so we're going top-down. You can get a sense of the first 6 courses at the top, and then there are 3 completion pathways. One is a thesis path. One is an applied research path, which is really focused on diving deep and doing a meta-synthesis in the literature, along with consulting up to 5 people in your organization. And so you do have a sponsor in your organization for that one. The digital learning research consulting pathway is working more deeply with a sponsor. It is not a paid consulting project, but you actually are consulting in that sponsor's organization around something that needs to be created or developed for them. And that's the work that you do in part of that project. You still do need to do the academic research, the lit review, the write-up and wraparound, but you have the ability to consult with up to 10 people in that organization under the blanket ethics provided. The 2 pathways on the right, the applied research path or the digital consulting path, both have additional courses that you take. Whereas the thesis path, as you move into there, you're taking your advanced research course and then spending the bulk of your time working with your thesis supervisor on your primary research. You'll notice at the very top of this slide, it says residency or online pathway. This is the only program in our school currently that offers 2 ways into the program. You can come in and do the program fully online, or in post-pandemic times, fingers crossed, you can come in and do the program what we call blended. So you're doing your first 2 courses in a learning intensive on campus, and then you merge with the rest of the people who've been taking the online program at course 3, and you continue along together. Selena, if you could jump us to the next slide, please. The master's program and diploma in learning and technology also operate in the open. So you will have noticed openness as one of the cross-cutting themes. And so we operate with a combination of course WordPress sites and the companion Moodle shell, which is our learning management system here at Royal Roads. So you'll be working out on public blogs. Students will be having their own blogs as part of the program that are embedded in each course. The next slide, Selena, please. I'm just going to before we maybe go to the Q&A, I'm just going to put a few links in the chat because I think because of the openness of Mallet, because there are no textbooks required in Mallet, because of many of the design principles that have informed the program, you can see all of the program at the link I just left in the chat. So that's the program page. All the courses are on the right-hand side. If you go to any of those courses, you'll be able to see the student blogs and read what people are doing now in the program. You can see in the courses, you'll be able to see all of the readings, the assignments, everything that people are working on, the rubrics they're assessed with. And then I've popped up in the chat as well some of the student research that is happening in the program, so you can take a look. One of the things that we're excited about, that we have a very positive experience about, and is really, I think, probably useful as you're considering a program, is the virtual symposium. And it starts the program, either the online or the blended. And you can tap in. There's over 5 years of recorded sessions with experts in the field, with students who have also done their applied research project and are talking about it, with students who have done the digital learning consulting project and are talking about it. So you're welcome to go in and dive into any of those recordings. It happens in April every year. So please feel free to jump in next April and join us. It's an open event. You're welcome to come and just stay tuned. You'll see it usually about March, starting to get some traction and promotion on Twitter and through Royal Roads. So thank you very much. Looking forward to the questions.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Selena or Andrea, I think there are some questions coming up. Do you want to throw them out and we can do our very best to answer or find the answers?
Absolutely. Thank you so much to all of our program heads and Tamara, the director of the School of Education and Technology, for giving us that lightning round of information. We're going to move into a lightning round of question and answer now. So the first one that was sent to me via private message was, what are Z degrees?
So I can speak to that. So the Z cred is a recognition that there are no textbook costs required in the program. It is something that in the US, it's called, there's a Z degree and a Z cred. These are zero textbook cost programs. So what does that mean? It means that any of the readings that you will be required to do in the program are sourced open and publicly from open access journals. If they cannot be, then they are sourced through the university library, which you have access to as a student. So you'll be getting your readings through there. So you'll be able to do that without having to buy large volumes of textbooks. Frederick, did you want to jump in as well?
Well, no, thanks for that, Elizabeth. And just as that MELM is a Z degree as well. So the same principles apply there too. Thanks.
Amazing. Well, the next question, and maybe Frederick, I'll throw it to you to kick us off. What are assignments and evaluations like in these programs?
Yeah, thanks. And this will vary from program to program. So I'm sure Elizabeth and Russ will want to jump in as well. For MELM, it's a sort of blend of individual assignments and team assignments. We do like the team component in all our programs within the School of Education and Technology. You work with your cohort very tightly, and you will have team assignments within each of the courses. We do have team coaches, and we have a whole structure that enables you to learn how to complete these team assignments and to reflect as well on the competencies that you're bringing to these team assignments. The other assignments are individual assignments. They tend to be spread. Again, we're very conscious of the fact that you're working professionals. So we avoid the traditional university course where there's a bottleneck of assignments towards the end. We like to spread these assignments through the course, so you have an ability to be able to juggle that with the rest of your commitments and your work commitments. I've let my other two colleagues jump in. They probably have a specific, I know Elizabeth has very specific angles with Mallet and the open dimension.
Thanks, Frederick. So in addition to the team assignments, the piece in Mallet is you will be doing public blogs. So you will have a student blog that is yours. And in the first course in Mallet, you work and dive in to really thinking about what your digital presence and identity is going to be as a graduate student in these public spaces, and being able to engage in public discourse in a way that extends the conversation. What that means is each of your courses, there will be individual assignments, there'll be team assignments, peer and self-assessed assignments, and there will also be a requirement to post to your blog based on activities that are built into the courses. And then when you leave the program, the blog goes with you, it's yours. So it can act as, you can build it out as more of a e-portfolio, or you can use it to continue the conversation of the field that you're now become even more deeply embedded with as you network throughout the program. Russ, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks very much. Really very similar to what's just been said by my colleagues, but I would add the emphasis. One thing I found really unique about Royal Roads University is the emphasis on team assignments, and learning to work that way is such an important competency in the workplace. And so we incorporate a lot of that kind of activity, but the university also truly supports that activity with dedicated coaches to help teams work through those assignments. An amazing program.
Thank you so much. We actually had some more questions come in about what does team learning or team commitment look like in the programs? So thank you so much for covering those as well. The next question we have, which is a great one, is can you talk more about what the residencies are like for the blended programs? How have they been delivered during COVID-19?
I can speak to that one, just having finished and planning one with Michiel. In response to COVID last year, we delivered what would have been our on-campus portion of our residencies, your first two courses specifically in Melm and Michiel and Mallet online. And so that was a transition. It was fairly seamless because the courses had both an online component prior and after anyway. So we were able to take the content that would have been delivered in a 2-week span on campus and spread it over a longer period of time throughout the full duration of the course. For the upcoming final residency for Michiel in June, which is a 3-day on-campus residency, which pre-COVID, you had the choice to either be here on campus or to attend virtually, is going to be offered completely virtually again this year as it was last year. Our hope will be, of course, going forward into 2022, that we will hopefully be in a position to come back to campus for our residencies. But as it stands for this year, again, like last year, the 2021 residencies in July will be delivered online.
Elizabeth, do you want to go next? Or I know there'll probably specific aspects to the ballot program again.
Sure, thanks, Frederick. So in terms, I mean, consistent with Tamara's around the residencies, for Mallet, because we have the fully online ability to enter in the fully online program, for the last year and this year, we've taken anyone who has been interested in doing the blended option and coming to campus, talked with them about either deferring or joining in the fully online. So we start our residencies in April. The Mallet program starts in April. And so fingers crossed, if we're able and we have enough participants who would like to do the blended entry and start with a learning intensive next April 2022, that would be sort of in that time frame as well. But this year, we kicked off in April with everyone in the fully online program.
Thanks, Elizabeth. And for Melm, the residency happens in the summer with 2 courses that are taken simultaneously, and there's a heavy component which really is around the building of the cohort and the cohort, so the networks within the cohort, and also getting to know your campus and getting to your services. So what we've done is last year during the COVID pivot, the 2 courses are now delivered fully online. This will be the same this summer. And the residency component really becomes almost a sort of half course, which you're taking as well during the 8 weeks, where all of the social interactions, the team building, getting to know your campus, getting to know your services, all that is diluted on an 8-week basis. So you do that progressively through a few sessions every week. So we've been able to really preserve the same spirit and the same flavor, but to really spread it so that students don't feel overwhelmed, because obviously doing that fully online for 2 weeks would be impossible. And instead it happens in a spread way over the 8 weeks. And it's been really successful last week, and it'll be run the same way this year until we get back to a normal blended delivery for 2022.
Amazing. And I'm realizing we're getting close to the end of our time here. So we have a few questions that have come in that are kind of around the same theme. So let me merge those together and let's end off on that. So questions coming in where specifically for the Mallet program, which industries are people coming from? For Michiel, what are the backgrounds within higher ed people are coming into this program with? And for Frederick, is Michiel just for K-12 teachers?
I can jump in. Sorry, Selena, I was going to put the link in the chat, which I will do after. So for Mallet, it really is deeply cross-sectoral. So for example, in the current cohort, if you go into the links that I posted in the chat, you can see in their blogs where they're from. They're all over. We've got radiologists, we have nurse practitioners, paramedics, who have moved into more of a training role in their organization. We have a few K-12 teachers who, instead of doing an ed leadership and management track, were more interested in a learning and technology combination. We have many post-secondary instructors, electricians, trades training, business office manager type training, who in their work at the college level are embedded in their discipline, are embedded in electrical trades, for example, but they're taking the program because they want to know how to better do the learning and technology piece of their role. We have folks, I mentioned, that are in the military, that are in a more formal training and development office. We have learning officers in corporate training, or sometimes heads of corporate training departments. We do have, over the years, independent consultants who have maybe built their business around human resources and really want to now expand it into sort of a training and development focus. I'm trying to think of any else. Those would be sort of the top of mind right now that come to mind, but definitely do dive in and take a look at their blogs, because they really convey sort of that sense of who would be coming to this space and why they're coming to learn more about how technology and learning can connect and inform each other. Frederick.
Thank you. So the question that comes up often is the MEL program just for K-12 teachers? As I've said at the beginning, it is really for anyone who is currently has a classroom lens, and because of their progression in their career is called on to start looking at the world of education and work of the classroom, but from a leadership perspective. So we do have a bulk of applicants who are K-12 teachers, but we do also have, for example, certain principals often who've gone and had an international career and been given opportunities for supervision and to become vice principals or principals, but who then come back and want to ground their qualifications and make sure that they also have a program that actually solidifies their understanding of leadership. We also have people, as Elizabeth said, who are consultant. They work in the field of education. Have been very much consulted from a pedagogical perspective, but now they're called on to take on some duties in terms of leadership as well. Sometimes it's contractual ventures that work in education, but parallel to school. So we have a number of professionals who work in after school programs and so forth. And again, I've so far mostly been teaching and looking at a teaching perspective, but are called on to take another perspective, that of a leader. So really a large variety of professionals. Now that's what makes the program interesting, because all of these perspectives complement each other and also challenge each other, meaning that you have to, again, look at your lens and look at other people's lens and learn from that collaboration.
Okay, and what was the question, Selena, for Michiel?
For Michiel, is what backgrounds are coming together to make up the Michiel cohort?
So it's certainly diverse, but the focus is on people who are currently working in the higher education sector, in some cases in government sectors that are highly related and within those systems. Mostly early to mid-career folks who are interested in building their career, ready to take a next step, view things through more of a leadership lens, and understand how the systems that hold higher education together function.
So just those few people come and take a school of programs here. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much. So we have one more question sneak in. It's from Terry. It's too good to leave behind. So Elizabeth, I saw that you answered in the chat box, but maybe we'll give you the floor to answer it verbally for folks as well. So Terry, your question was, could you say more about the graduate diploma in learning in technology enhanced learning and design? Would this be suited to someone who would like to expand their work to training staff, but who does not yet have significant experience in the area?
Super. Thanks, Lena. And so my answer was, there are two diplomas under the Learning and Technology banner. And so really one is focused at a different level of detail. perhaps some might say a little more granular than the other. And so it's worth taking a look at the courses themselves. There are 3 courses that are different between the 2, and then the 3 that are the same. And so being able to look at those courses that are different and the focus of them, one is around graphic design, one is around project management for instructional designers, and one is around sort of learning theory and instructional design. To look at those and look at the first 3 courses of the Learning and Technology Diploma and really take a good look at your context to determine, where do I need more backing? Where do I need to dive in more detail? And I think that will help distinguish which diploma might be a better fit for you. I'm always happy to chat it through as well. Just don't hesitate to drop a note. And the one thing I was also going to mention, Selena, maybe you say, and Lisa might have it quicker than I do, but the webinars that were done last fall, we did some as a school from the student perspective, what it's like to be a student in these programs. And I think folks might really appreciate even just having those links so they could dip into those and hear what a student says about being in these programs.
That's a great idea, Elizabeth. We'll pop that link into the chat box. So give us a few minutes. We may pop it in right once we enter the break, but nonetheless, that is a really exciting webinar. And you get to meet some of the personalities who are in our classrooms. So before we close the session today, I'm going to toss it back to Tamara. Was there anything else you wanted to share about the School of Education Technology?
No, I think everybody has, I mean, we could go on, but I know we have a time limit here. So just again, to reiterate everyone's appreciation for taking the time. We know that you have a number of choices out there. So we are absolutely honored that you have taken this time to consider what we have to offer and would welcome any follow-up questions.
Thanks so much, Tamara, and Lisa and her speedy fingers pop that link into the chat box are ready for our webinar that talked with some of our current students and alumni. So before we end the session today, we actually have a surprise giveaway. How many MA programs are there within the School of Education Technology? Ah, Nadine, you got it. That was so fast. There are 3 programs at the master's level within the School of Education and Technology.